Into the Nexus is a production of Maeiv.tv. Bookmark Maeiv TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and I am joined, as I always should be, by Mr. Kyle Fergusson. Welcome back.
Good to be back,
I almost
Garrett.
called you Fergie. I have never called you Fergie.
No,
Why would that
don't.
even sleep into my brain?
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna call you Gare Bear if you do that. And that is not an exchange we want to have.
No, it's not. Fergie.
Not a lot of good Fergie role models. I just remember the Clarissa, and I doubt that's like saying clockwise to kids these days.
Yeah. Did she actually call him Fergie in Clarissa Explains It All?
He had a Fergusson Explains It All segment, but there was also like that girl who turned into water, and we're talking about old Nickelodeon. And
Secret World of Alex Mack. How could I forget?
yes, yeah, you're right, you got it.
Yeah, dude, I watched way too much Nickelodeon in my formative years. Way too much Nickelodeon, way too much Jim Carrey. I couldn't hold a conversation without being a total bonkers weirdo.
Oh yeah, well you know you repeat things.
Yeah, you do.
When you're a kid, and ad nauseum too.
Yep. When you don't just repeat things, you also mimic it, which meant I was pulling dumb faces constantly.
But it was an interesting age of cartoons because it reflected modern life. Like you look at the modern SpongeBob and it's real wacky, but you look at older SpongeBob and like they're making jokes about having to go to work and like living a life and getting a paycheck.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. You are correct. But not, I mean, no one there would hold a job. Nobody. Absolutely no one.
No.
Nope. Not going to happen. But, hey, speaking of holding a job.
Nope. Okay.
I don't know. It feels, I'm still learning this. I feel like I just started over, man. This game. It's a lot to relearn.
Mm-hmm.
We go through these ebb and flows, right? I feel like I should be used to it by now, but something about this particular little era. You and I were talking earlier, off air, obviously, about the ebbs and the flows of Heroes of the Storm, of this constantly changing game, and it really does kind of play out in eras. You've got your, most recently the era that we stepped out of was the double support era. We have just left that one. We used to be in a double bruiser era.
Yeah. In fact, this past week I read a YouTube, so I went over to my old YouTube and just started clicking through to see what a year ago was like. And there are those months where I'm like, Falstad Vala, Kyle's panicking. This is awful. That means I'm not having any fun. But then I see, like Zarya Zul'jin, kicks. And I've actually lost quite a bit of rank, heading down to almost platinum there in the past. And I go, well, I was playing my passions. But it did kind of happen again this year. We went back into double tank. But just like the previous year, we didn't really encourage it with balance this time, but we ended up back on a little bit of double bruiser as well. I mean, Blaze ETC, I think, to me in my rank, is the most dangerous double tank comp. That is just such a ridiculous amount of CC. But now we're seeing even comps like Murd and Butcher, or more recently, something that's ETC Maeiv, and that's filling that kind of bruiser off role.
Yeah, and this is just it's a lot. I've had a lot of trouble taking it in recently. If I don't have an answer to who is your hero right now. I do not have the answer. I have tried. Maybe Ragnaros. Maybe.
He's in a good spot, and we're going to talk about Maeiv later. For me, this week, I thought maybe I had it picked. I had it all ready. I was Nazebo main, and last week everyone was on board with it. But come this week, people hated Nazebo. And Kel'Thas was out that quickly. Or Kel'Thuzad. I think I'm going to go back to Kael'Thas, but it changes every week. and not necessarily due to balance. Now, our balance discussion today is forked. There is no real balance discussion to have because there's a certain hero right now with a 65% win rate in Hero League. And if you take a certain level 4 talent, you can get that up to 70. So that's going to skew everybody. I mean, if we're looking at Genji, Hanzo falling a little bit, we just go, we don't know. Because there's also this madness happening on top of it.
Yeah. So that I mean, that's the basic point I'm getting at, is I feel like I'm really having to work in Heroes right now. More so than at least my memory is allowing me to properly recollect. It does not feel. This feels like the biggest upset in my knowledge of the game in the entire time we've done this show.
It's tough because we talked about practicing a musical instrument in a sense and getting good and putting in time.
Oh, an analogy just popped into my head.
Go for it. I'm always the one with them. I want to hear yours.
A musical instrument can be a beautiful analogy for working at something day in, day out to get good at it. But what happens in Heroes every what feels like month now is your instructor comes over to you, rips your instrument out of your hand, say it's a violin, and hands you a harp.
No, definitely. Yeah, you were lined up outside the concert hall. You're chilling with your friends and whatnot, and someone just runs up and goes, boom, a trumpet. Today you're playing the trumpet. And you're going, what? Like, I had this exact experience in a game last night. You know, we had a late pick tank, and it was Team League. We put Kristen on the tank, and it was Infernal Shrines. And she's never done a pullover of the Punisher over the gate as a melee character. Oh. And we've done it with, when you auto attack it, you reveal yourself over a wall. But if you are a melee character and you need to get that Punisher jumped over the wall to isolate it, you have to cast a spell to reveal yourself to it. And you can just go, and fart on the ground as Muradin, make a little thunderclap, and that will reveal you causing the guy to jump over. But she didn't know that. And because of the order we picked, it was unranked, and the way we went, we lost the game because of that interaction. And the reason why she's even on tank is because we're all trying to figure out what our new role is. We got some people settled, but also there's new shinies coming out all the time that people want to play. So we had people going to Maeiv who are normally our tank players. Kristen ended up on tank. And just a simple interaction like that really shows how highly complicated our game is. And when you look back, particularly at Dustin Browder's quick match, you go, whoa. But when you even look back just a year to the armor upgrade and all the nuance we've added in with the new maps and these individual interactions, there is so much to learn that if you're Malthael this week, and he is okay, like Malthael's actually really good. We didn't really account for the fact that one, Last Rites would be good, but two, the lane clear, and also Tormented Souls is just easy. You got to get an auto attack in, that's dangerous. Why not just buzz all around
exist
and walk in
literally? Why not just exist? If you exist in a radius close enough to somebody, you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing.
Right, but that sort of change. I mean, back to our musical instrument, we've been saying around the show for a long time, you should have 3 heroes. 3 is what you can actually practice and sort of the range. You probably want one of those to be a support, a damage deal. Doesn't matter if it's a specialist, damage, or bruiser for our purposes, and then a tank. But what we're really finding is that's too dangerous to maintain play in this game. And you should be looking at something like 8 heroes that you're proficient with, and assume that 3 of those are in practice or changing at all times.
Wow. All right, so your stable should be 8, and 3 of those should be in flux.
Will likely be, at the very least.
Gotcha. You're ready to kill your darlings? Is that what you're telling us?
It's difficult. And then, on top of all this change, personally to me, we just came out of the strongest meta we ever had. In my opinion, I know a lot of people were struggling during double support. I know tons of people found it lame. I'm a World of Warcraft healer. The slowness of the engagements, the tactical edge of divine shields for this guy, cocoons to that guy, and the battlefield control. Whereas now I'm seeing ETC and Blazes just slam into each other, and whoever gets the level lead wins that. And you can add Maeiv to that pile a little bit too. It makes less sense. And it's faster, it's more energetic. It is certainly for the pros, but we're concerned, and the show always has been concerned, about the home experience.
Yes, and I have nothing really to add to that. I was gonna, if you didn't touch on that exact point, which is that type of gameplay is great for pros, but maybe not for home. Yeah, that's what I liked about the double sword meta as well. There was enough time for the slow reaction speed of uncoordinated play to make a decision.
And things are also hard for double tank at home, because you kill one tank, there's another one. Do we kill the tanks? Well, we can't access the back line. So you end up going on to Nazeebo and Burst and Kael'thas, like me, whereas I want to be Zul'jin, And this time, unlike last year, I'm not panicking. I am losing. But I'm not playing Falstad. I'm not playing Vala. I'm sticking to the things I enjoy.
Which is another kind of important thing to note, right?
Absolutely.
Don't chase the trends too hard or too deep. It's no different than moving your windows around and losing your co-host to Skype minimizing. And it's also it's no different than the cautions we always throw out on Angry Chicken about deck swapping too often in Hearthstone. If you don't give a deck enough of a chance, you're never going to learn any of them. And you're never going to get a real large enough sample size to figure out if a deck was bad or if you were just bad with the deck. So same thing I think holds true for heroes. And at a certain point, I've always believed in kind of our mantra of passion. Find your passion. Don't look for the correct answer. Play something because that's what you want to play, and then expand your horizons based off of that experience.
And I think we've done a good job of that with this past season's struggles to begin, and placement bugs perhaps, and things like this. The ranked play system became different overnight, and the frustrations of that system are causing these wild fluxes. The interesting thing is, like, when I do Jeff Kanata coaching, silver, gold, now gold, is pretty stable. Like, that does not adhere to the wild whims of esports. But where I'm at, it's different angers, different weeks. And it's very confusing.
Yeah. But, I mean, how much do you really let that affect you, man? I mean, if you're not chasing the flavor of the week anyway, what's the big deal, I guess, is my question.
Oh, and that's solid, right? Like, that's, someone called me a name. Okay. But it's that same story. It's a bummer. That's weirdly what it comes down to, is I lock Nazeebo, who was previously praised the previous week, and now upon this week, it's trash. And you just don't really know why. There needs to be some sort of pattern to that.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, and let's use that exact specific example so we don't need to extend too wide an umbrella. Was it consistent? Did you lock Nazeebo in multiple games and get that reaction? Or
yeah.
Okay, all right. That's my question. Because I get that. I've gotten that randomly over the entire course of my hero's career, and I've just assumed some people have weird biases that I cannot contend with.
And that's gonna happen. When it's about 3 games in a row, I start to wonder what's in the water.
What did Grubby say this week?
Perhaps. And that would speak to also the soul searching, the panic of the community as they're asking the higher ups what we should be playing.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I don't have any hard answers right now, other than I refuse to bend and change my hero every week. So.
Well, and we just had so many changes at once with the big meta shift, the laning change. And I think we're just beginning to feel, with Maeiv, the stack of these changes from Armor back in the day. I mean, Armor was changed back in January of last year. It was basically our laning change of this year. And it cleaned up vulnerability. It was cleaning stuff up that was already existing in the game. you take 40% less damage during this certain phase from physical, and they just made that 40 armor. It was an easier way to phrase it. So we didn't really change the game there. But you take the mercenary changes and how we used to lane. You take the fights we used to have and then go push buildings, which now have that infinite ammo and aren't worn down for us. And then you add on top of it armor that is static, regardless of your level lead. We don't really know what's going on, and the pro games look so different from what we're playing at home.
Yeah, and that, for me, that's where I go back to, man, I miss double support all of a sudden.
And again, that wasn't healthy, and not everyone enjoyed it as much as I and you.
That's why I said I, not everyone.
Yeah.
It's a personal feeling. But
this is thoughts that have been haunting me for a while as we tried to figure this out. A lot of people look to the show for answers. I hear from tons of people that they're still climbing successfully, and we're seeing that, absolutely. And the fundamentals still stand true. But I always want to give people the happy little package that they can open up and go, oh, everything makes sense now. And right now, all I have to say is that every level lead should be treated like a level 10. If you are 9 and 10, that's a big deal. 9 and 8 are just as big of a deal because the interactions on the map. You can't, from behind, control the map anymore. You go take a merc camp, that merc camp is weak and will hit the wall and do nothing. You have to be ahead to have map control, to have that merc reach the wall, to get that XP that then causes you to go on to victory. So, and what I'm saying here isn't bad. This is a really good raid scenario. This is a really good World of Warcraft game. Because when you are ahead in this game, you are still busting your butt to win. You are still making good plays, having to be active on the map and not lose that lead. And that's the bizarre thing about it. And I'll find myself in these videos looking back, and I'm varying solo tanking 4 people while my entire team kills Blaze, who walked past me, because I'm 4 levels up. And you try to process that, and you try to see where that level lead came from. But in a shared XP game, it happened in the bottom when Zagara beat Alarak. And you in the top, who had a great matchup, sadly, that XP went up top too. And by the time of that first objective, the level lead for a whole team might be too much.
I certainly have noticed everything you're talking about. Your analogies, by the way, today at the top of the show, top notch. I have not been lost once.
Oh,
the thought
thank
of the raid analogy, it's a very good point. Because you're right. In the game right now, if you are winning, you have to just stay on top of it. And what we're describing is sort of a snowball, but not like we've had snowballs in the past. You have to actively stay on top of your win in Heroes right now, all the way to the end. If you do, and you go back and watch it, it looks like the enemy never really had a chance. But the second you let up, the second you give them an inch, that's when things can get out of hand.
And those towers can be disastrous to your push. Maybe that's too chaotic. I really think about the early inceptions or early interviews with the dev team, and that our towers, we took, the one Dota tower, the one League of Legends tower, and split it into a castle, a wall, and 3 towers at the time. Now we're down to 2. And we took our minions and we split them into pieces as well. So we could have these, for lack of a better word, Avengers kind of moments where there is trash everywhere, and it is one punch is leveling 7 of them as they fly through the air into pieces. But on top of that, we've added, the armor system, quests, all these ways to get ahead. And now our collateral damage has become extremely important, and that puts the game in a weird spot too.
Yeah, no, it is very strange. Both sides are constantly trying very hard. It's just that when the opposing team has that 1 level lead and you're still giving it 100, but they're giving it 100, it feels like your 100 just, it's not good enough, no matter what you do.
No, and you wish that anime taught you right and you could just yell until it worked.
I don't recommend that. It's not good for the blood pressure.
It doesn't.
No.
Also, they take breaks from yelling. He yells into that mic for half an hour, maybe 6 hours, but then goes home and takes a week off and comes back and yells again later. You will be dead if you yell like that.
for your daily hero session. Yeah. That's no good. That's no good. But Well, let's talk a little bit about this history. There's a history theme on today's show. I can just feel it brimming, and I know it's going to be at the top of the news. So let's just hit everyone with that news bumper.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
So, Kyle, at the beginning of this week, there was an interesting post on the official Heroes website, and no one is talking about it.
They're starting to. The loot box has been released.
Oh, is that it? Did that finally bring...
So log in right now. If you played one ranked game before January 31st, you will have a legendary loot box in your loot crate area.
Very cool. Well, what began this was a post on the 5th, back on Monday, called an update on the current ranked season, where the Heroes team got on the horn and mentioned a few things. I'm just going to read some of it verbatim. They started with last December. We released several hotfixes to address bugs that were affecting matchmaking and placement matches near the start of the latest ranked season. The issues stemmed from a combination of incorrect player seeding and overly aggressive MMR adjustments. So that's what happened back in December. If you remember, we were on this show after Christmas being like, what happened? I went to Disney and everyone's burning Heroes down. So apparently incorrect player seeding and overly aggressive MMR adjustments, and that's as far as they have taken the information that they're going to give us.
What follows is an apology, but that's the extent of the facts, that there was a bug. The MMR adjustment was over aggressive. And if you're just kind of joining this forensics, if you will, this started back on the 12th of December for season 1, 2018. They started the season and player-based match or performance-based matchmaking was engaged. The very next day, they reset everything. And then 2 days after that, they disabled rank play. The next day, on the 16th, they reset it. They reset everybody's placements and turn off the player-based matchmaking, which wasn't actually the problem, according to Blizzard. It was this bug, but they didn't want to compound it or have us be confused about why things are the way they are.
Gotcha. So it wasn't the fault of performance-based matchmaking. That's interesting.
No, it was this bug that they mentioned in this post here.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what has happened in the past. And then they also talk about some issues plaguing players right now. They said, quote, more recently, a number of highly ranked players reported that they were consistently receiving negative personal rank adjustments at the end of their matches. We've investigated and identified the cause and have already begun to address it. And that's again, they stopped there. That's as much information as we got.
This was the non-performance-based adjustment, but the personal adjustment that players were experiencing where they just received negatives regardless of your win streaks or your loss streaks. Previously, your MMR has momentum. And if you are losing a lot of games, that number will start to compound and say, we're getting you out of here quick. So you don't, mess up too many games. But if you could go on a winning streak, you could reset that and it would go, okay, yeah, this is good for you.
Yeah. So it's very curious. I find this whole thing very odd. It's very fact light and apology and here's a gift heavy.
The odd part about it, right. And from what we as a community have guessed and investigated based on looking at things like HOTS logs, which many gold players do have, master MMR hot log accounts. It seems, and we don't know this, but we don't have better facts to say, it seems that rank this season was seeded from quick match.
Yes.
Which would be bizarre.
That would be horrific. Quick match is not a good indication of skill.
It's not where I go to win, for sure. In fact, I lose aplenty because it's just weird. And I'm there to practice my chains on Kel'Thuzad or something like that. And I don't particularly care about winning. Not
right.
that, I'm going to throw, but
Right, to pull it a little bit out of the realm of opinion, a quick match has always been, like, you can go and consistently win a quick match, but if you're playing specifically, quick match kind of stomp heroes, and if you're not doing that, you're really throwing caution to the wind and hoping that your composition empowers the hero you decided to go into that mode with.
We're also seeing a smaller amount of games uploaded to Hotslogs in general since December. And people have theorized that this is a loss of about half the player base. But that is entirely rumor, but we don't have any real stats. So all we can do is look at Hotslogs, see the games uploaded from back in November and say, that was a popular time for the game.
Yeah, that's one where I really start to go, all right, pump your brakes, people.
We can't go down that route because we simply don't know.
Yeah. You know what I do during Christmas every year? I wipe my computer because that's when I have the most time to mess with that. And you know what I still haven't reinstalled? My Hotslogs uploader.
And you get Christmas presents and family come to town, and it's a great time to kind of take a break from that game that you main.
Yeah.
Not exactly, if this was the big release of fall, maybe we could read into this number, but Christmas, no,
that's very rough. Now the quick match seeding concerns me, and that's a little more like something like I feel like I could anecdotally see in my experience around the holidays playing heroes in the quality of teammates and not necessarily that they were bad, but that knowledge that I became used to seemed to not exist anymore.
And I experienced it as well. I found myself a lot of the time saying, look at this quick match Vala. Oh, she's beating my butt. Like, it's not bad. But the fact that Vala goes off to solo lane and is doing really well there does suggest a certain level of quick matchitude, if you will.
Right.
A self-reliance that is not comp dependent.
Yeah. So it's just, it's very odd. And as someone who is usually on the heroes team side, I find this post extremely problematic. In this post, they say in their own words, we apologize for our radio silence over the past few weeks. And to me, this post, in its lack of actual useful information, is just multiple paragraphs of more radio silence. There's no information in here that tell me what happened or how they're fixing it. Just that something happened and they say they're fixing it.
Right. We don't know the result of that. And it's frightening because it really does feel like games live and die on the solo experience, as wacky and stupid as that may be. It's insane that we should be playing this game alone. It is absolutely a team-based game, but schedules, humans, we gotta eat. We don't all line up correctly, and playing a game by yourself is damn good fun.
I would soften that with every MOBA is a team-based game. I think Heroes
Absolutely.
is more of a team-based game than other MOBAs, but that's just an unrealistic expectation of any game to make it strictly a team game.
They've also said in this post that we believe we've also been closely monitoring ranked matchmaking and believe it has returned to a stable state. And for me, that's also as good as radio silence. With a changing week to week, for me, it does not feel stable. But I see the stability in Jeff's league when we play together. I see what works. People still want those Kael'thas's and those Dahakas. People are getting used to double tank, but it's leaking down. They don't even encounter, and their win rates on those heroes like Genji and Hanzo are in the 40s in that rank. So they simply don't have the whims that pass through.
Yeah. It's what I experienced at the beginning of the season when I rocketed down to silver. And I was like, oh my God, why am I here? And my games were really good. At least the drafts. The drafts made sense. The drafts have not made sense since I was in silver.
That's a frightening idea.
But yeah, whatever the case is, I'm surprised I have not seen more discussion around this post.
And it may be coming because their apology, a token of gratitude in their own words, is a legendary loot box, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And there's some shinies in the community right now. We do have a lot of drama, and there's also Maeiv, who is very, very powerful.
I thought you were talking about Maeiv when you said a lot of drama.
There's other aspects that the community has been arguing about for an extended period of time.
Yes, yeah, but no, you're right. Yeah, there seems to be multiple burning conversations being had in the Heroes community right now. But man, I'm so confused that a potentially broken matchmaking system isn't the top of the totem pole.
We have to assume, because it's not, that people aren't playing. And I'm seeing that in my own chats and my own conversations with people around. You know, I was on a stream last week, and people were talking about Hero League in nothing but past tense. And I did a bit of a look around the room and said, am I the only one playing Hero League? You know, we're seeing a lot of the same names in all our games, and people were going, we're here for you. We love watching you. It's fun. But no, not for me. I am avoiding that.
Yeah. And Team League, the same thing for the most part. Longer queues, constantly going up against the same team. Although I'm oddly enjoying this because I've been playing a lot of unranked, and unranked
is fabulous.
Unranked is amazing right now. Yeah. It's so good.
Everyone's taking it crazy seriously. The drafts are communicated and informed. It's a beacon, actually.
Yeah. Listen, I've always we always get emails, right? We haven't in a while, but we used to always, one of the most common things about what do I do to learn? What mode do I play in to learn? And we used to say, well, just as soon as you can get into Hero League, just start playing freaking Hero League. But I always used to be like, well, what about unranked? And you're like, nah, no one plays there. Just skip it. If you want to learn Heroes of the Storm right now, unranked is where you should be.
Yeah. But we also have placers and Smurfs, and the Hero League does seduce a certain level of play. And I know for me too, I do the same exact thing. I think to myself, I could win, or I could win for points. Well, darn it, I'm going to do the points. Like why would I waste my time? And I head in there, and that community is extremely frustrated because it's made of people like me and new people. And my story about Muradin figuring out how to put a Punisher over the wall, that isn't organic. That's not something you're going to really discover for yourself in a quick amount of time with this many maps. And so we have a huge gap of different knowledges. We've always had that problem, but the frustration has caused players, experienced long-term players, to take a break, and it has suffered.
Yeah. By the way, let's just make unranked slightly better by making its map pool the same as Hero League, please, and thank you.
I kind of miss Blackheart's Bay. Honestly, I know that's insane, but
no, because I'm with you, man. I miss it too.
Up, and I was like, "Can I go Zool?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, that's cool." And I'm like, "Wow, whoa! What we used to be so weird." We've really kind of across the map pools for the pros, things have become a little gray. And each map, I still love Infernal Shrines the most, absolutely, and Towers of Doom right behind that. But they can melt together a little bit, and our picks have melted together. And that's what double support was really there to stop, because we really didn't give a crud about what the map was in double support. That was unhealthy, I will agree.
Yes.
Good, but I also don't change my World of Warcraft spec when I run this dungeon and not that dungeon.
And before the Genji Hanzo nerfs that we'll talk about today, I would have countered with yes, but all the battlegrounds in the current rotation are just amazing for the Shimada brothers.
And honestly, we don't know if they're
but
still
they've been
amazing.
Yeah, we need more time on that. We need more. That may have been fixed, which does do away with a large amount of my grumpiness on the subject. But yeah, no, dude, I'm with you on Blackheart's Bay. I'm ready for it to come back. Haunted Mines can stay dead for as long as they want it to be, as far as I'm concerned.
In the current sort of system, it would be very difficult to play that level ahead Haunted Mines game.
It happens outside of Hero League, and I dread it every single time.
It's a tough comeback.
If you fall behind on Haunted Mines, it is. I just don't want. I know it can be done. I know technically comeback is possible, but
absolutely,
that's like saying, yeah, I could build my own car from all miscellaneous parts, but why would I?
There is a final piece to this article on performance-based matchmaking.
Yeah, it's coming back. They plan to reintroduce it in a future season.
Now, there is one tidbit in here that is interesting, and basically to say that performance-based matchmaking learned from you, the players, and we realized that the game changed too much, and it didn't know what players performed like. I mean, we talked about long ago, back at BlizzCon and afterwards, about Illidan taking merc camps.
BlizzCon wasn't that far back, Kyle. I would just like to put that in perspective. It was in November. We are barely into February. Okay? We're talking 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, how was it only 40 days later, the zombie apocalypse, right? Like, things can change fast.
38 or 28 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to put that in perspective. But when they were telling us about this at BlizzCon, they knew these changes were coming down the pipeline because this was the laning changes were another one of the large pieces of showcase at BlizzCon 2017. Although, I got to say, you and I didn't really catch on that, like, boy, they're changing a lot. I wonder if that performance-based matchmaking is going to be able to do much with how much the game is changing.
Of course, I feel like a fool, too, at this point, because we were all excited about the laning changes and having that edge when we went to the first objective. And when I think about it, for some reason, I think of Sky Temple, because I love having advantage for 2 temples at once. That's huge. So you roll up there, but we didn't really consider that shared XP, as bizarre and crazy as that is. The fact that Alarak won his lane, so therefore the top lane, which broke even 1-2, is pretty strange.
It's odd times. A lot of, like I said at the top, still a lot of learning to be done. But, well, let's move on to the latest monkey wrench to hit the Nexus. Maeiv. Maeiv is here, as you mentioned, with the statistics available to us, which is Hots Logs. She's sitting at a 64.6% win rate. She launched at a 66% win rate, so she has dropped a bit. And as you mentioned earlier in the show, man, if they take Blade Dance at level 4 in quick match, it's showing them to have a over 70% chance to win.
Yeah. And that makes well enough sense. It increases your lane clear. It gives you more physical damage, which most people are running. The Umbral cuts down physical armor. Maeiv is a guilty story for me. I really enjoyed her. I mean, we're talking about beta or PTR here, where people were still running Genji and Hanzo, and they were worried about how it was going to go. And frankly, Hanzo leaping away only to be pulled back with incredible damage depending on your talents was just fancy. And you're owning all these people. You're really controlling the fights. You're like Garrosh. You have armor, excellent health, and abilities that absolutely win that middle fight and give you an early level lead. And with that armor and those talents, you will find yourself ahead for the rest of the game as long as you play safe. I was seduced. I thought this was a blast. And then I fought Zul'jin. And this poor guy. Poor Zul'jin, man. I ran up to him, slapped the tether on him, and teleported backwards and yanked him into my team. And then I went, wait, aren't we supposed to be countering mobility? Oh, no. We counter everything. The only thing we don't counter is buzzy people. Even Ragnaros. Anyone who can increase their movement speed and control themselves staying inside the Umbral, that's who we have encountered. And depending on your league, right, that may be Tracer, because Tracer may not be able to control herself well enough. She blinks on the edge, gets tethered to you, and you get that damage. But where I'm at, the Tracer just spins around you in circles, Malthael, all these sticky characters. In fact, Illidan's win rate went up with Maev's release because he's sticky.
Oh, God, that is the single greatest piece of information I've heard this week in regards to this game.
And And if you're a Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne fan, Murky's win rate went up too. And, that Illidan and the Mercs, they got along there.
Yes, they did. Well, wasn't the Murlocs? It was the Naga.
Yeah, but they brought with them turtles and Murlocs, and,
Okay.
they have a diverse group.
Oh my god, it's just hit me. How do we not have a Naga hero?
Maybe Naga Siren. I don't. Maybe they're still in dealings with Valve to try to get them to give up that character, like they had to do with Wraith King for Leoric.
I mean, you could just do Lady Vaj.
They have that character too. Actually, they have Naga Siren and Medusa. They call her over there, but it's the Lady Vaj model.
Yeah, well, it's Blizzard's damn model.
Yeah, and Monster Hunter has people in armor with big weapons. Like, it's not a big deal at a certain point.
Yeah, but all right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, so how would you even make Umbral not be a bastard ability to immobile heroes?
Honestly, I did go through the full range of emotions, the Li Ming quartet, if you will, as you go, I'm good, and that is okay. Then you take S of Joan, and you go, I'm still good, but people can learn to counterplay. And then about on day 2, you're going, I'm at an 80% win rate, and I'm not feeling so great about this anymore, and I don't think counterplay is the answer anymore. To me, I love the fact that she has armor. There is no skin on that body at all. They even closed her face flaps for some reason. I don't know when that happened. She's a lot gruffer too. I saw her like once or twice in Legion on that island, and she was like, Illidan suffer, and I'm like, oh, okay, and walked away. But here you get to spend some time with her. Like, she's really gotten pissed off since Warcraft 3.
I don't think her face has ever been exposed.
Yeah, and the little character model in Warcraft 3, she had her Night Elf lips there, and
Warcraft 3 portraits are so jank they don't count. I've never seen a piece of Blizzard art, including art from Warcraft 3, that had her face exposed. There's a very old piece of Samwise art from Maeiv, and her helmet's completely sealed. But I digress.
Interesting.
I digress. They probably were just so excited they could animate lips in Warcraft 3.
Right. They kind of flapped randomly, probably because of the multiple languages. But, at any rate, the fact is she's a big character and covered from head to toe in armor, except for that ponytail, which has no physics, which is kind of funny. has the overstarched Varian cape a little bit.
Oh, you're right. And because her cape animates really well.
Yeah.
They need to port that over to Varian because he's got a cardboard cape. But
through the cracks, and it's a machine that is running very smoothly in terms of release and content with the Lunar Festival as well at the same time. So I want her to have that armor. I want her to have a bit of a perspective issue when you attack her. I'm hitting a fully armored character. My damage shouldn't be the full damage that it's capable of. The difficulty is when you start, comparing that, and, my favorite site to do this on is PsionicStorm.com, and you can compare heroes directly, and you start to look at her health pool and her armor amounts, and that it's 10 physical to both, or physical and spell, whereas a Nubarak has less health and only the one type of armor.
only spell armor.
Right. And then I faced this week solo tank Maeiv. They ran her as solo tank.
I'm sorry. Really?
In a ranked game.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it had all the powers of Johanna's stickiness with the punishment. I mean, imagine if Johanna was getting a reset on that shield punish, and it just went slam, slam, slam. And I'm even doing it wrong. Like, that's what made this so crazy to me, is I was doing a Spirit of Vengeance build, and I thought I had discovered something cool. And then you look at Reddit, and people are just fan of knives slamming multiple heroes, and maybe rightfully so, punishing them for grouping up too tight. But I think that's an over-punished aspect of our game. And it's a team game, and it's a brawl, and it's very loud, and there's lots of things flying. I want to stand by my friends. I want to be by my tank because I'm trying to work my way forward. And continuing to punish that is getting a bit much. We have a lot of ways to ruin that.
Yeah. Not to mention that spreading out has also been punished by these backline heroes.
Yeah, isolating yourself, and then the Genjis or the Novas or whoever it may be,
Yeah.
Can come and take you out.
Which that comes down to draft, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm in Camp Kyle right now. Man, that's just not. But okay, so I mean that's completely bonkers. But I don't think there's no one refuting that Maeiv has come out overtuned, right? I have not seen anyone in defense of Maev's current power level.
No. There was the brief conversations of counterplay, and then everyone just said, no, not anymore, sir. And I went down that road too.
Yeah, it's next Tuesday, man. There's going to be a nerf. I'm calling it. It's just going to happen. Mark episode 203 as the fun episode of Into the Nexus, where you can go back in time and hear about solo tank Maeiv. And if episode 204 is also that, then we're going to have some words, Heroes team.
And I think we've already had, some pokes for words this week. I fully trust balance. Absolutely. Like, they are going to hit this. They are going to continue to make the game better in the balance sake. But it's these greater overall themes. It's survivability talents at 13. It's quests. It's towers and armor. These things that are causing these level leads that can feel so oppressive, ultimately. And Maeiv is a part of this with her armor and her quests and her resets.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it while it lasts, you wardens.
Yeah, ban Maeiv and then something else, because nobody knows what's going on right now.
Right, things are in flux, and that is because the data mine nerfs that we mentioned last week are real, and they are live. So let's kick things off with Genji. Dragon Blade's damage was indeed reduced. It's down to 220. It's a little over an 8% reduction in his damage. Not too bad. 8% in the grand scheme of nerfs we've been seeing lately is not too awful.
And the fact that it's affecting such a small amount of the game, very important parts, of course. That's when you use your ults, after all. But it's a small percentage, and those leads are before 10 are gotten in very different ways.
Yeah. But then at level 20, the Dragon Becomes Me had the bonus duration decrease from 3/4 of a second to half of a second per hero hit. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you actually look at how much that is, that's a 33% reduction. That's a pretty hefty amount that when you're working with a stacking ability, one absolutely adds up. And Hanzo, who we'll talk about here in a second, very similar.
When you see level 20 nerfs, those are for the pros. They very rarely have anything to do with us because we simply don't play that game enough to interact well. I mean, when was the last time you saw Shifting Malice? I've seen it once, and it was incredible. Kel'Thuzad flew towards me for no reason that I really understood, killed me by touching me, and then was able to move backwards the same amount of distance, and I went, whoa! But how often are you practiced with that? Right. There's a reason why in StarCraft we make carriers and then you go win, because we don't really know how to control them.
You just box select, attack move across the damn map.
Yeah. But those Zerglings, though, you got 4 of them, and each one of those is a king in their own right. You're gonna baby those guys.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with the Shimada brothers. I know Greymane technically is next, as we usually go alphabetical, but let's talk about Hanzo, because he got messed with at level 7, though. Talents we all see if we're picking Hanzo. Never outmatched, had its cooldown reduction reduced, try saying that 5 times fast, from 4 to 2.5 seconds per basic attack. That is over a 35% reduction. So you're going to notice that. And then sharpened arrowheads. The sharpened arrowheads, which we kind of mentioned last week, but just to reiterate, because this is a huge change if you've just been this is how I blind build my Hanzo, is just going sharpened arrowheads, is the armor reduction was cut in half. It was 4. It is now 2. The maximum stacks have also been increased, so you can still get that maximum negative armor of 20, but it's going to take you twice as many attacks to stack that up.
Which isn't easy.
No.
I mean, you can maybe get redemption done, and that might make it cool, but there's a lot you're giving up for that.
Yeah.
And in a meta, you're taking sustained talents when we're all very burst right now.
Right. Yeah, so interesting, and we haven't had enough time with these changes to really see how it lands. I think Genji will be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hanzo, I'm less certain about.
The glass cannon archetype has a very volatile player base, and I would expect a surge of chromies to follow.
Yep. Oh, yay. I was just enjoying the lack of chromies.
Yeah, I bet they make that comeback because it's a play style. It's a fantasy for a lot of people.
Yep. Greymane, we've got some official numbers now. Ghanaian Cocktail has had its mana cost reduced from 70 to 55. That's a little over 20%, which is good. The explosion area was also increased by roughly 15%. But then it's the damage, which we kind of mentioned last week. But again, now we have official numbers. If initial damage is down from 59 to 55, or almost a 7% reduction. Same thing for the spread damage. Both the initial damage and the spread damage have been reduced by the same amount if we're looking at a percentage-based system.
If you've fought or played Greymane a lot in the past, the real thing that you're going to notice is your 4 Ghanaian Cocktail talent is missing. It's gone. And it's been sort of baked in a lesser form.
Which
and you now have a number of choices. And the main one right now is Eyes in the Dark. At least from what I've seen, Greymanes have gone back to doing their stealth role.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the big reason for that mana cost reduction, right? Is the baking in.
And it allows them to downgrade the importance of the level 1 talent to get that mana back. So you can hopefully take other talents, do auto attack builds, and make a unique Greymane spectacle.
Mm-hmm. Also, Razor Swipe had its damage reduced, so just be mindful of that as well.
Right, that's a perspective issue, and that's going to mean a little bit back to the drawing board for a lot of Greymanes. When you swipe, even though this is pretty small, you expect that damage, so be ready.
Right. In the grand scheme of things, it's a small reduction, but a reduction nonetheless. And since it bears mentioning, Lieutenant Morales, you can no longer cast Safeguard on minions. Sorry.
I didn't see this. I can assume that maybe, because you can still heal minions, so maybe people were heading down the lane and guarding their wizard with some extra armor to make sure that he wouldn't die too fast, but
I certainly wasn't doing that. I'm excited about this change because I have misclicked on the minions before.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I actually don't know if this has been added to Malfurion, but if it hasn't, please. I've misclicked minions as well and set them up for some sweet dots.
Oh, that's so good. That's something like, maybe just let me tick that on and off. Like, if I want to be able to heal my lane minions and be super fancy, let me. And if I just want to be like, no, I would really rather not try extremely hard to land my heals if we're fighting a mini wave. Let me just tick it off.
Oh, absolutely. But I think we've all wanted for a long time the Diablo 3 kind of customization system where the menu opens and we can click all these boxes as to, almost like runes that we don't want this to really cast there. We'd like this on quick cast. And currently the quick cast menu is intense and confusing. And I've been in lessons with bronze and silver players where I've asked them to go to that menu and they go, can we not? They just want a full stop. They want to learn how to play the character, and interacting with that thing is scary.
Oh, I don't think it's that bad. Really? What don't you like about it? I'm going to challenge you on this.
I want more of a collection kind of system. I think the collection tab is bloated at the moment, and I want something more, as crazy as it is, like Super Smash Bros. Collecting the little trophies kind of thing. Like I want to spin my character. I want to be able to try on all my outfits in one go. I want to change my hotkeys while I'm on that same screen, and just really feel like I don't want to play this game because I'm tired, and that's dangerous. But I can log into Heroes right now and do some micromanaging that'll make me feel like I'm advanced the next day.
Okay, so you want to play with your collection. You want to dust off your shelf and rearrange your figurines.
Exactly. And we have the roster, but that's over in the profile. And we have the outfits, but that's in the quick match menu. And we have the collection, but that's just, it's all over the place.
The collection is
changing.
Collection is a nightmare.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it's a UI nightmare. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm on board. Okay. I thought you were maybe making an argument that the quick cast options or the quick cast menu doesn't give you enough options, and I'm like, what? Yes, it does. I can customize the living hell out of my quick casts per hero. No. If you're just arguing for more usable UI, I'm on board. I totally get that. I mean, why don't we just have the little hexagonal faces all the time? Like, go to collection and it pulls that up and you click on a hero and it just goes to your hero and you see him there, you can spin around, and then you have tabs for all the extraneous things.
A reward on my long-term investment and really feeling that, because I go to my quick match screen, I've got all the heroes. Like, that feels pretty good. I look at Lucio and see he's level 4 and I say, damn right you are, but it's a tough thing to ask today, I know, because right now we're calling for information. That is more important to me. We need a rank system that people believe in order for this game to grow and work. But on top of that, I just like to feel good about being the whale in this game and soaking up everything over time.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And not to retread broken ground, but I think this might tie a good bow on at least my thoughts at the top of the show, which is for the last year at least, I think a lack of faith in this game's matchmaker has been the single largest concern of the community. And for most of the last year, I have disagreed with that I thought the matchmaker was more or less solid, and you're fine. I, right now, have the least amount of faith in this matchmaker that I ever have, and now suddenly we're not having the conversation.
And I think on top of that, we're the easy MOBA, and we are no longer easy. Armor, these laning changes, so many maps, so many hero individual interactions, like the Punisher thing. Like, where do you... I just started to learn to play video series, actually, on youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson, because there's so much information and like really simple stuff. Like, I'm aiming to make an under 10-minute video, and it's hard. I went over doing Kel'Thuzad combos, and I had to stop myself from saying tons of other, like, you should find the tank to farm. Well, what if there's no tank? Like, well, okay, we'll avoid that conversation. But there's all these individual pieces, and people want information. And on top of this, and this is me enjoying the scandal of it, we had the HGC Volskaya problem, where they didn't play the map that we had to play, but they wanted to hold on to their secrets just in case when we did play that map, in the pro scene, they would have those. So we went completely silent on strategy for 3 full months, and we didn't share a thing. And you'll find these conversations where people are like, are you doing the Braxis trick? And they're like, yeah, I know the Braxis trick. And some guy's like, what's the Braxis trick? And they're like, no, you don't get to know that. And they could be trolling, they could be having fun, but we do have this weird aspect of our community. Maybe because our esports was too young.
It could be a lot of things. I think it's just we're for me, it's always boiled down to we're a niche. We're a niche audience in a very established genre.
Yeah.
And I have always been of the opinion that it's totally fine. I don't care. I see conversations being had about how heroes could fight to be the most popular MOBA, and I'm always sitting here being like, no, I don't want that. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the game as it is. I have the game I want. I don't care if other people think it's as cool as I do.
Yeah, the conversation is so we are a mod of a strategy game, but you also have Dota and League of Legends in the world. Mm-hmm. But we carved out our own unique team version of that, which is still like, there's so much that this game still has that I left those other games for. So it's always a difficult conversation because we are the oddballs, but we're the oddballs of the oddballs in a sense.
Well, then, and here on this very show, you and I don't really like to draw a hard line in the sand on top of that, so we're wishy-washy. Dota and League have things that work for them, and they work very well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but whatever the case is. Well, we knew we were going to take a decent chunk of time today to move through news. We also knew we were going to have some top of the show thoughts. So there isn't a strategy segment today, but we are going to wrap it up with emails. Before we get to that, we want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If somehow you've never heard us mention this before, this is how this show is supported. how Kyle and I make a portion of our living. So if you like Into the Nexus and you want to support the show, please check out patreon.com/ITN. On this episode, Cameron S., Vincent PG, Barbara Walters. I'm just going to say the last name because there's no way that's actually Barbara Walters. Weston H. and Scions G. Thank you all so very, very much for supporting the show and being one of our many bosses and never telling us to wear a certain uniform to work. We appreciate it.
That is nice.
Yeah. It's very nice.
We're also both celebrated hairists, and it'd be awful to wear a hairnet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to be that hygienic through the internet.
No, but have you seen people... This happens more in Florida, but have you seen beard nets?
Only in Florida.
I would shave that thing.
If I was given the ultimatum, lose your job or wear this hairnet, I would go, sir, there is an option C. I'll be right back. And just shave my beard off.
Yeah. I mean, I like, I don't have the strongest chin, and I do like how it fills me out, but get off my face.
I have had to wear hairnets. That doesn't bother me. I am into my hair. I didn't shave my hair because of the hairnet. But there's something about something being on top of your head versus strapped across your lower face,
like up over your ears.
Yeah. And if you do not choose to shave it off, and you do work with a beard net, I stand behind your love of your beard.
Yeah. No, I'm impressed. Honestly, I am. That's dedication. I just assume you're like the most fashionable, clubbiest guy ever when you leave that meat market.
Oh, yeah. You just look like a lumberjack on vacation.
Oh, beautiful. And like all the clothes are super. And you would never, like, you couldn't even place where you'd think they're rich upstate.
Gotcha. Well, with that in mind,
yes.
let's unstrap these beard nets and move into emails.
Darkness stopped calling.
I hear the wilds call. Wait, nature calls.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
Shoot your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Our first email comes to us from... he sent a phonetic. It's pronounced Credo. I've been calling him Creed forever.
Yeah, Creedux. But, but when you do the shortened thing, I think you can get away with it, right?
Well, I always call them Credo. Because the D-E-A-U-X, it's French, basically. Do. But I didn't get the cray. So Credo. All right, Credo. I'm still going to call you Creed, most likely, and I apologize for that in advance. Anyway, Credo writes, "Hey, ITN crew, my question is about mains. Do you think that Heroes is a game where maining one or two heroes for long stretches of time is possible, given shifting metas and hero releases? Are mains based purely on hero flavor, or is fantasy irrelevant to the conversation? It is said that in other MOBAs, you may have characters more designed toward a specific job, but because of the item shop, you can bend their function to a different role. In Heroes, we have 4 roles, and a hero is launched with a set kit. If I love playing Gazlo, but he doesn't fit in the meta, I can no longer main him. Rather than looking for specific heroes to main, should we look for playstyles or roles? Is the concept of a main incompatible with Heroes in the way that it can be applied to other games?" Boy, this is like a loaded question. And the answer would be different if you asked me that today versus when Justin Browder was still ruling the roost.
Yeah, we had a lot more fluidity with the talents.
Yeah.
And now we've certainly encouraged an esports draft style in our home games.
Yeah, the whole answer is complicated. Even that analogy you just gave is complicated because, well, League of Legends and Dota also have drafts, and the drafts are impactful, but there's also the shop.
And people will be mad. Don't take Crystal Maiden and go make her a wizard, even though she looks like Jaina. That is a support, or was when I played, pardon me. If that has changed.
It still is.
A Venomancer is a dot over time, my main from that game, but he was support. But you could win it hard enough and become the carry, but you probably should just take something else at the end of the day. And that's kind of like Heroes. I mean, you joke about Gazlo. I think Gazlo's in a fantastic spot, honestly. People don't know how to counter him. As funny as that is, if you have a point control map and your first pick, I'd say do it. And this is, part of the roster that we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's a very specific thing. I think he's talking, bigger picture. What if Gazlo suddenly went out? There's really nothing he could do. If all of the point control maps that are currently in the rotation, which is where Gazlo shines, suddenly leave the rotation, Gazlo's going to leave with it, and you cannot affect enough change through talents on Gazlo to make picking him worth it.
Yeah,
and
the map's all wrong for him.
And that's where I say, like, from a historical point of view, it even gets a little more cloudy because, yeah, we had a lot more fluidity when back in the Dust and Browder days, but not on Gazlo, not on every hero. Yeah. Some heroes, yes. Other heroes, no. Gazlo is an example of an extremely static hero. He does one thing, and he does that one thing very well, lock down a zone. If you don't need to be locking down zones, Gazlo kind of suffers.
Well, and you also have the poor example of Illidan in that time period as well, because if you are a melee assassin and you have to stay connected to do damage, taking every talent that equals survivability equals higher damage, unless you were completely over-supported the wind. But then you might pick a 1v1 and still want those talents in the first place. So we absolutely, just like our other MOBAs, are going to end up in archetypes, and people will want certain roles for themselves. But we talked about this earlier too, like with these sweeping changes, luckily not the map changes anymore. You're pretty happy about that, right? Like, we have calmed down that rotation immensely.
As long as Genji Hanzo calmed down with it.
And they seem to be.
Yeah. I'm a gamer, man. I'm never happy. Never happy. There's always an asterisk of annoyance. Somewhere. But I don't know is I think my answer to this question. I have heroes I would consider my mains, but I don't always use them. And I don't mean on a game by game basis. I mean, when I was talking about the concept of heroes eras much earlier in the show, there are long stretches of time where heroes I have a great deal of love for and consider my main, I just never play. But they're always there, and I'm always waiting for the day where it's the right decision to take them again. And that was the case with Zagara, up until the lane changes that were recently made. And I'm not taking a lot of Zagara right now, but it's not because she's not the right choice. It's because she is the right choice, and specialists in general, it's hard to find a spot for in your at-home games because it's a contested slot.
Well, and it's a perceived useless dot, even though the highest win rate comp right now is actually double tank, double specialist, single healer.
Yeah.
That's at home games.
You're going to send me down a rabbit hole of we are letting esports and certain personalities in the scene dictate our at-home meta far too much.
Absolutely. And we also, because of esports, have a perspective that if you play this game, you should be able to do the hard version of it, because that's what we see out there. Like, there's a great kind of philosophy that Gazlo, Raynor, these heroes that have zero mobility options, they have higher win rates on hot slogs than Vala, even though Vala is way more impactful. But it's simply because if you are an unskilled player, vaulting forward is going to get you killed. And standing still in the back and having a pushback and being kind of lame about it will let you live and therefore equal a win. So,
and an auto heal that happens exactly when you need it.
Yeah, and it did get a buff recently too. We're talking about a month or two ago now, but Raynor received a decent buff to his overall kit, and he's really good. But I struggle to take him because of that public perception.
Yeah.
And keeping up with that is probably the most difficult part.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. It's freaking. I didn't even notice this before. All your talk about everyone hitting on Naz. He's number 5. He's number 5 on Hot Slogs right now.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for why that happened this week, but also there's also an element to this that comes with long-term play. I don't play Leoric anymore because my memories of Leoric slamming walls with Johanna in Infernal Shrines are so intensely joyous in my head that when I lose a game with Leoric, it hurts too much. And same with Diablo. I loved him so much. The idea of a Lucha control tank was so unique to Heroes of the Storm. Manhandling people up over your head. I I can't recapture that. It's so different than it was. And I'm also a worth it death kind of guy. So I go in and I tank everything. I explode and the apocalypse drops. And I instantly spawn with enough souls after the kills they got because I touched them to do it again. You know.
And if you're Kyle's neighbor, you can hear him cackling like a madman when it happens.
Oh yeah. That was the evil. And that is the fantasy of MOBAs to me. It is fear. It is the chance to see people run from you when you walk out the gate because you're so powerful and you built that rapport with them.
Yeah. So in short, what's your answer? Because mine is yes, but not really.
My answer is he's right. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. 8 is the number that you need to have to actually participate in Hero League a lot of the time. There will be times when you can absolutely double down on your main, and if you're looking for points, that's the time. If you're enjoying Maeiv, you know, she's going to get banned, but if, let's say she was getting through, now would be the time to spam it. And this isn't like, you know, Rainer bugs and you spam Rainer. Like, I don't encourage that level of abuse, but there will be metas like Mouthiel had for Jeff, where you can just, or my Uther, just go for it for extended period of times, but keep those loves in that back pocket. Like Nazebo, for me, is something that we can always bring back over and over again. And for a lot of people, Sonya is one of those. Just a solid, I'm not really passionate. Yeah, you may not be in a passionate mode. You don't want to slam your swords on people at the moment, but you want to play the video game that you like, and you're going to fall back to what you're comfortable with.
Oh, the second I smell Sonya in the water, I'm picking her again. Although, yeah, now that I think about it, like but Tychus, I think, is my Diablo for you. Like, I don't think I can recapture that feeling on Tychus. I think Tychus is dead to me, and that makes me sad to admit. I think I just came across that. I'm really sad now, Kyle.
Yeah, we all have a lot of lost loves. You know, Asmodan is one for me because back in the day, we didn't stack anything. And the idea of being a spawning, pushing specialist that didn't have to adhere to stacking minions or only targeting heroes or these requirements upon me limited my creativity, as, you know, hipster as that may be. That's why I love Tyrael over something like Kerrigan, because I feel free and creative to use these spells in my own order. And, you know, for a lot of people, like Murky, these people, you know, level 50 Murkies out there aren't playing him because he's so wildly different. And if you ask, you know, can I still play Murky? They go, yeah, you go slime build. I don't never want to do that. So that comes back to the same thing as Leoric, right? Like, this struggle is not a struggle for new players who are into the game and trying out everything and go, man, I like Artanis, I like Arthas, I like Ariel, and just down the line, all these loves, and they're going to take them. We have all these caveats for just being a part of the game for so long.
Yeah. I agree. And hadn't thought about a lot of this for a while.
Right now, what you need is one of the 3 main healers. You need a Lucio, a Morales, or a Stukov on your roster, likely. Those can change. You can throw a Malfurion on there, but heals over time are weaker. Of course, all your spells are weaker when you're a level down. Heals over time in particular really suffer in this snowbally meta. So those are your 3 healers. Pick one. You know, you're going to need a CC tank. You can do it with Blaze, but you got to make sure you have that second tank. You can solo tank with ETC. That might be a little safer. Or Arthas. And there's others too when you combine them. But if you're actually going for pure roster right now, things can be pretty tight. We're the at-home show, and I'm naturally going to tell you, do you want 8? And you go, no, I like to play 3. And I'm going to say, well, it's your game time, man. you do that. Just like I'm not going to play Falstad Vala, even though they're not crazy big right now, and I don't have to anyway, but I have resolved. I'm done.
Never happening. That's Dahaka for me. I've tried multiple times to get on the Dahaka train.
Oh, so many times for me too.
And I hate playing that hero. I hate everything about playing that hero.
I've tried listening to the Jurassic Park sound. Like, he's a little dinosaur.
Oh, wait, you know what? I like one thing. I like walking really fast through bushes. That's it. That's all I like.
And I think if you put in the work, you could figure out those bushes, but there's always that disappointment between bush number 1 and bush number 2, where I go, hey, I'm back moving fast again.
Yeah, no, not for me. Not for me. Can be for you, though. please, by all means.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
would love
Get
to
us
back
a
up your
level
Dahaka.
Yeah.
Yes, please and thank you. Blood Anubis 87 writes in for our final email today and says, so, my girlfriend and I have noticed a phenomenon when playing MOBAs. There are certain heroes that we tend to perform better with or have more luck with while wearing a specific skin. A good luck skin, if you will. Have any of you experienced this? If so, what are your lucky skins? My answer is no. So I'm curious if you've experienced this. No, God, no.
You have not. The Hero League has been something that you've just walked away from at times and have not forced yourself to play for your mental health and probably for those in your game as well.
As a general Blizzard gamer, yeah.
There are other things to play, perhaps. Whereas I camp out. I love the game I love, and I love knowing all the interactions for it. I have on my Vala, it's called Vicus, Vol'jin, and Volnor. And it is a set of 3 skins where I pretend that I'm playing either Raynor, Zul'jin, or Tychus when I was forced to pick Vala.
I remember watching you set this up on your stream.
It helped during that particular meta. The cowboy one with the Tychus voiceover did end up being my favorite.
Oh, so you had Tychus as your announcer.
Mm-hmm.
And she's wearing the cowboy outfit.
Yeah. Well, and on a vulture bike too.
What is Valor? Is that it?
Valor?
What is your Raynor Vala couple's name?
She's got the full. She's still in the vulture, but she's got the full armor. The one with the horns, you know?
Oh, like her old master skin or the redone version that came out with 2.0?
The old master skin, because I want that old master skin kind of Raynor vibe.
Oh, you want like the old grungy Orioles? Okay, all right.
Exactly. And then Zul'jin is the green but new redone kind of master skin look.
Okay.
Nodding to him being a new. This is why I asked for an improved collection, honestly. I do these things.
I don't do. Yeah, man. I don't switch my skins around a lot, and I don't pick them out of superstition. I do it just because I think they look cool, and then usually I just end up sticking with the skin I think is the coolest. I can tell you what skins I think are the coolest. Most of them are from the Kel'Thuzad event because Naxxramas and Death Knights win.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
definitely the best Jaina skin.
I have not unselected my Dreadlord Jaina, my Crypt Lord Zagara, or my Death Knight Sonya since that. As a matter of fact, that particular event has drastically upped my games played on those 3 heroes. I loved that event just for the skins because I'm terrible with Kel'Thuzad. You don't want me playing Kel'Thuzad ever. And I don't want to play Kel'Thuzad. So I find it funny that because I remember when that event came out, I'm like, well, they're doing a lot of fanfare for a single hero and some skins. And then I realized just what a freaking fanboy I am when it comes to Warcraft 3 stuff. Yeah.
There's one. I do this. I have it set up for Diablo, but I never use him. If it's a main tank Diablo, which doesn't really get run, I would run the old master skin because it's bigger. And if I'm doing Bruiser Diablo, I would do the smaller primal skin. And it actually helps out a lot. Like the number of people who would say, why didn't you protect me in Diablo when you're smaller and more spiky is actually pretty solid.
Okay.
Whereas people see big Diablo and they go, why did Diablo die there? Does he suck? And you're like, nah, I'm just a little Diablo, you know? Sort of the same thing happens with Rag. Like, I'm just a little Rag, you know? What can I do? I'm just a little Rag, you know?
I doubt that, but that's interesting. The visual indication. I hadn't really thought about that.
The only one I do change my skin on is Kel'Thuzad. If I love his classic, but if I'm losing, I switch over to Space Emperor.
Okay. So that's your changing your card back when you're not getting any legendaries the first day you're opening new card packs.
Exactly. Is that a thing?
It is, and it is over on Angry Chicken. I don't know if it is everywhere else.
So you leave the opening the boxes screen and go
and set a new favorite.
Oh, the favorite that covers all decks if you don't set a different one.
Right. Have you not noticed that your card backs when you open a pack are the backs of whatever your favorite card back is?
They've always been normal because I've never set a favorite. I always individually select each card back for the deck.
I mean, I do that too, but I always have a favorite set when I'm just, especially in times of frequent experimentation, like right now when the meta kind of gets thrown, upset. Let's put it that way. It's upset. The meta's been upset. So I don't bother because I'm not sure if I'm marrying the deck or not. I don't put a ring on it. I put a card back on it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. You wouldn't want to dress it up yet.
Yeah.
You're not sure if you're committed.
Like this game. 2 weeks ago, I broke down and bought Hanzo because it just seemed like Hanzo was going to be something I should probably learn. And I almost bought his elf skin like immediately because I'm like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to play Hanzo. And I was like, oh man, skins got expensive out of nowhere because this stupid gem system that I'm still not okay with. And I'm glad I didn't because I'm not sticking with Hanzo.
I mean, we both know. Everyone here knows that's been listening to the show for a while. Infested Tychus is the only Tychus. If Tychus ever comes back, he will be infested.
I think it's a pink banana hammock Tychus, personally.
No way, man.
I love it. I love that skin so much. You put him on top of the pink Love is in the Air heart mount.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't unchecked that. I haven't won a lot of Tychus games since that happened, but I don't know. I just love it. It's so bright. It's so ridiculous. He really needs, you know what he needs for that? Is he needs roller skates. So he could be, he roller skates to Muscle Beach in Southern California.
Oh my goodness.
Is the story I tell myself in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't had another roller skate since beta.
Summer is rapidly approaching.
Oh wait, Lucio, never mind.
That's right.
We had a whole character based around roller skates.
Well, those are like hover jet grind radio skates, right?
Mm-hmm. Soaps.
Yeah. Soaps. All right. Well, anyways, keep your emails coming. itncast@gmail.com, and that's going to wrap it up for episode 203 of Into the Nexus. Thank you again, patrons, for supporting us. If you want to support Into the Nexus, check out patreon.com/ITN. $1 an episode, $2 an episode, whatever works for you. We appreciate it. Huge thanks to our producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. You can get Into the Nexus t-shirts over at shirts.amove.tv, and you can catch us live Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. If you're here live, don't go anywhere, especially if you are a patron, because tonight is our patron bonanza. Another perk, by the way, if you are thinking about becoming a patron, if you're ever around for the show and you want to join an after-show game, our patrons get first dibs on those after-show games. You can follow the show on Twitter at ITNcast. And before we go, Kyle, where can folks find the other work you do, including your how to play or learn to play videos that you've been doing?
Yeah, just started those up over on the YouTube. Like I said, youtube.com/Kyle Fergusson. 2 S's in Ferguson, as well as the E for the Ferg part. Some people have a U. We're not related. Also, check out There Will Be Dungeons, the Dungeons and Dragons podcast that I started up with the core group from the Team League with Scott Johnson, John Jagger, Bo Schwartz, and Kristen Ashton. It has been absolutely delightful, and it is overwhelmingly insane to me. Here we're talking about a game of a mod of a game that became its own game. Like, I feel very much the same way about Dungeons and Dragons, a part of my childhood that was scary, bullied, regretful, and now I'm receiving tweets of people buying up books and saying they're starting their own campaigns at home. It means impossible amounts of the world to me to see Dungeons and Dragons have a beyond hipster resurgence.
It's really big right now, man. I mean, hell, I played my first pen and paper role-playing game ever with you.
Yeah.
At your bachelor party. It was a D&D one-shot. It was amazing. Since then, we've started up our own campaign. Granted, not D&D, but it's... I think everyone should do it, man. I think it's a really good learning experience.
It's a fascinating social tradition. In the past, you only really learned to play Dungeons and Dragons if you were DM'd. Otherwise, you were just going in blind. You had no idea. But now, with the internet, with streaming, we have wonderful examples of play. One of my favorite things about There Will Be Dungeons is that we have 2 brand new players, as well as experienced players like Kristen and myself. And I'm a barbarian too, so I get to stay quiet. I can assure you that my previous players have been wizards, and I roll the heck out of my arcane. But, Borel doesn't know about those sort of things, and it's fun to watch the new players struggle.
Yeah. I can't help feel that a little bit has been lost with you not being a boisterous, ridiculous-voiced wizard, though.
I can assure you, Vorel is a bolsterous, ridiculous barbarian lizardman.
Good. Well, folks, I'm on Twitter at GarrettArt. All of the podcasts that I do can be found at amove.tv, nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. And I'd really like to recommend everyone, if you are looking for a new hobby or just want to listen to me get really nerdy about something other than video games, I've been talking about cocktails for the last 2 weeks on my solo show, The Angry Nerd, which really needs a rename. Big time. I actually finally have some ideas for what to rename the show.
The Angry Drunk.
No. No, that is a loaded title, Kyle. Pun intended. I could just call it the loaded title. Yeah. But yeah, I'm talking about cocktails over there. I'm going to keep it going tomorrow. I'm going to be talking, I have decided, I'm going to talk about martinis tomorrow. I'm talking martinis, but I've already talked about old fashions, daiquiris, and now moving into martinis. I have been sharing one recipe for each of these drinks that I've been talking about on the show, and I've had a really good time putting it together, and I have never had this much feedback about anything I've ever talked about on the show, so I'm going to keep doing it until everyone's sick about hearing it. So check out.
Kill Monarch in the chat said, in case you mixed it.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good.
Oh, that's good.
That's good radio.
That's really
right there.
good. I like it. I like it a lot. Geez, that's really good. That's solid.
Extra dirty. That's a good one too.
No, it's not, because dirty martini should be burned at the stake.
Oh, I don't know my liquor well enough, so it is funny though.
Why would you ruin good liquor with salt?
But wait, is that a martini? No, that's the that was the one you put salt on though.
Oh, well, that's a margarita.
Margarita,
yeah. But an extra dirty martini, they literally just dump olive brine in it.
Oh, well, that sounds like, information lost postcode barbarism.
Well, as with this show, when I talk cocktails, my thought is, this is what I like. If you like something else, the best drink is the drink you like to drink. So just drink what you want to drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep olive brine the hell out of my martini, please and thank you. More about this on the Angry. If that sounded interesting to you, check out the Angry Nerd, because that's all it's been lately.
It was a good ad.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Thank you all very much for listening, and until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.